Can I just say something about Andrea?
Well, guys, we made it. We are finally at the last part of this Robert Devine decertification hearing, and we are about to watch the testimony of old Robert Devine himself. I can't really feel like they're in a strong position at this point. So far, what we've heard is that the Post Division is relying on a number of communications that they attribute to Mr. Devine using the pseudonym Marty Riggs. There are a bunch of contextual clues that they've relied on to conclude that Marty Riggs is Robert Devine. Mr. Devine has tried to shift responsibility, suggest that these context clues could potentially apply to some other law enforcement officer. But the commission seems to be rebutting that. They seem to have their own evidence that suggests certain references, timelines don't work. They don't add up. Then we saw Mr. Devine's first witness. His first witness, and she was supposed to be just this very boring good guy character. You know, I was in the Explorer program. I never saw him do anything wrong. It's marginally useful, but nevertheless, I suppose it's just a thing that you do. But boy, it did not go well. It really did not go well. It turned into a masterclass in how not to try to evade really simple questions about so how'd you get involved in the case. She ended up looking like a real sketch because she wouldn't just acknowledge. They asked me if I would write a statement, and I said okay. And so, you know, when even the hearing officer is getting in on the fun of impeaching your witness, that's definitely not a place where you want to be as a litigant. But it's not clear to me that my perception of how not well this hearing is going so far is necessarily shared by Mr. Devine, right? He may very well be sitting over there thinking he's just killing it. They're just killing it. So we're going to learn a lot, I think, from this session about Mr. Devine and kind of who he is and how he operates, and you know, whether he's going to be the kind of sympathetic figure that might get the hearing officer thinking, well, maybe there is some explanation. I mean, he has claimed to have been hacked like 1 million times before when his accounts are associated with doing improper kinds of things. So we'll see. Now, this is a particularly long session. This is a little bit over 3 hours. So I'm not expecting to do this all in one sitting. Honestly, I don't know. I mean, we'll see, but I don't know if I'd be able to tolerate it. So we're going to play it a little bit by ear because, you know, I haven't watched any of this. We're reacting for the first time kind of together watching this. But my expectation is we'll try to just make it through the direct examination and then come back for the cross. It may not end up being a perfectly even division of time. Just so far, the defense has tended to, shall we say, drone on a little bit more than the Post Division has. So it may be that there's a longer direct than cross. It may be the other way around. I mean, we'll just have to see. But that's at least at this point kind of how I'm planning to break it down. So with that, guys, let's just go ahead and turn to it and see what we're going to have here.
All right, Ms. Stone, you want to call Mr. Devine?
I do.
Mr. Devine, raise your right hand, please. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. All right, may I have a seat? Mr. Stone?
Sir, can you please state your name and spell your name for the record?
Robert Devine, Devine.
And what town do you live in today?
Stoughton, Massachusetts.
What do you do for work right now?
I'm an attorney
How long have you been an attorney?
for the last 4.5 years.
Do you know when you get sworn in, essentially?
I did.
I'd like to know, I mean, I haven't looked, but okay, his profession is now an attorney for a little over 4 years. Is he solo? Does he work for a firm? What's his professional environment? What kind of cases has he handled? What type of lawyer is he? Just things that lawyers are kind of interested in terms of, getting to know other lawyers and kind of being able to maybe evaluate them a little bit in terms of their professionalism, competence, so forth.
It was January 11th, 2021.
What did you do that day?
Well, the COVID precautions were still in effect. So my family was gathered around in my dining room. I was sworn in at about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Then I went with my wife to the post office where we had to mail in all my paperwork. Then my wife and I went and had a few drinks at the Stone Forge restaurant in Easton. We came home, picked up my 2 kids, and we went in town for dinner at one steakhouse that evening.
So more of this midday drinking in the Norfolk County crowd, the law enforcement crowd. I guess he's former law enforcement now. I just can't help but notice that. Like, I mean, no, it's not unheard of. Yeah, I realize that's the culture some places. It's just a little wild to me. Like, look at your grade, dude. Like, how do you even do that? Like, what is your tolerance level to alcohol that you have built up over time that you, a man of at least 45, can be drinking in the middle of the day and still function fine? Like, it's just, I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I couldn't have one drink in the middle of the day and not badly need a nap at the very least.
Spent the whole day with your wife.
The entire day.
Let's start with ask about your background. What is your background as far as law enforcement?
I joined the United States Coast Guard in 1993. I was 7 years active duty, 3 years in the reserves. I was awarded 2 Coast Guard Achievement Medals. I was awarded 4 letters of commendation. I was put in charge of the Marine Environmental Response Unit for the city of Boston. When I ended up in Stoughton, I happened to be living there at the time. I wanted a more stable home life because I was being moved around every few years. I got hired in 1999. I was appointed to juvenile at the league in 2001. I was promoted to the rank of sergeant in 2004, lieutenant in 2006, and I was the second in command of the department in 2008 until 2015.
And what happened in 2015?
In 2015, I had an issue in my marriage. My wife and I weren't doing well. I spent entirely too much time at the police department. I spent entirely too much time in my job and not on my family. I had years of built up trauma that
Years of built up trauma, you say? This is what it's going to be based on. I definitely agree that being a police officer, particularly on certain beats in certain areas, can very much be a highly traumatic job. You see cops see a lot of ugly stuff. Cops see a lot of things that will haunt you in your dreams. But it's not usually what I expect from like a small town, local department. Usually we're talking more a lot, like, honestly, the highway patrol. The highway patrol probably sees the worst of it. But or urban environments, things with like a lot of gang violence, a lot of violence against children, stuff like that. I don't know. I mean, I certainly don't rule out that he experienced a lot of trauma. I just will note that it's not really that unusual or not really that normal for cops to kind of lean in on that, career police officers. Normally it's something that you know, they kind of reject and distance themselves from a little bit because it's a very machismo oriented type of profession. You got to be tough. You got to soldier up. You know, these kinds of mentalities. So it catches my attention that he's going in that direction, because I certainly don't rule it out. It just seems to be maybe a little bit self-victimizing to be kind of waving it really in those types of terms too. Like, is that what normal police officers would say, or would they just say something like, yeah, I saw a lot of shit and it really got to me? I don't know.
Unfortunately, really wasn't aware of. The way I explained it to my therapist was I would have things happen and I would put them in a box and I would put the box on a shelf. And then toward the end of 2013 into 2014, there was a young girl, looked like my daughter, got run over with a box truck and my shelf broke. And I would walk around, I would start crying and not know why. I was stretched tighter than a drum at work because I didn't have much support there. And my marriage crumbled. My wife and I separated. We drafted a divorce agreement. That was the route we were going to go. I engaged in a relationship with another woman. I probably should have waited until I was divorced.
All right, so we're gonna pause there. Yeah, I mean, this isn't incredible so far at all. I mean, this does sound. It sounds believable, you know. Yeah, a lot of accumulated trauma. You got to compartmentalize it. You might be successful at doing that for a certain amount of time, but you know, your ability to maintain that distance and that kind of emotional dissociation is probably, you know, for most normal people going to have a limit. And I can see a young girl getting run over by a box truck. Yeah, that's when I'm saying, like, the state patrol typically like see a lot of the worst kinds of things, you know, high speed motor vehicle injury related things. Oh god, the motorcycle stuff. Oof. Things that no human really wants to see. I mean, you will definitely come face to face with your mortality many times with stuff like that. So I kind of buy it. It's just that it sounds like this very long and you know, not rehearsed, I guess, but just sort of thought through, you know, explanation. It doesn't seem natural to me. He was talking about his career. And then what happened in 2015? We already know in 2015, he got demoted, right? He got demoted. And so that's kind of the career story. But instead, he's taking us on this very meandering personal journey of, you know, difficulty that he experienced. So I just noticed that because it reads as, you know, he's got his story figured out. And so now he's telling us the story. It doesn't necessarily flow from the questioning. But this is what he had planned to communicate. And so this is what we're hearing now. It would have just made more sense to me to kind of take it as what happened in 2015. Well, I got demoted. And so then tell us about the circumstances leading up to that. And some of that too is to take a little bit of the sting out of, you know, 2015 and what they did, instead of kind of distancing yourself from it and hiding it. If you're saying, you know, this was this injustice that was done to me in 2015, own that, get it out there up front. Don't be trying to like excuse yourself without even really talking about that part.
So you broke up with your wife. You actually drafted a separation agreement.
Yes.
Did you get filed in any court?
No.
When you physically separated, you moved apart from each other.
Yes.
And after you moved apart, did you have a relationship with another woman?
I did.
And, okay, and after starting the relationship with that woman, what happened?
We dated for 4 to 6 months, maybe. And then my wife started having some issues at her job, and I kind of stepped in a protective capacity. We started talking again. We decided we wanted to reconcile.
Okay, so you asked her what? Asked someone at the department to do something for you?
Yeah, I asked, you know, I asked one of my detectives who specialized in pulls if she could do a pull with my cell phone, because I just wanted to have a complete record of what may have been there. I know we've had some luck with pulling some, you know, deleted messages and things like that. That's what I was trying to do. I was put on administrative leave in 2015. I was completely honest with the investigator, and
Sure, he was completely honest, because that was one of the grounds for them finding that discipline was appropriate, wasn't it? That he was dishonest in the course of that investigation. So, just going to reassure us how honest he is. Of course, every liar does that. So, in and of itself, it doesn't mean anything at all. But also this, relationship with another woman. So we're talking about Sandra BIRCHMORE, right? We're talking about Sandra, 4 to 6 months. Can't use her name. Notable.
I ended up being disciplined for abusing my authority and conduct on becoming a police officer, and I lost my rank as deputy chief, and I served a 60-day suspension.
And so he didn't acknowledge anything about the dishonesty. And I'm pretty sure that was one of the very significant findings. I got notes kind of all over the place. So we had a little cat mishap a few days ago. Got into my stuff and yeah, just really tore it all apart. So yeah, the basis for this hearing at all is a pattern of repeated misconduct based on multiple allegations that were sustained. Those included a pattern of untruthfulness, abuse of power, and misconduct. And so he had, according to the Post Division, lied about there not being any electronic communications or any sexual contact with Sandra. So yeah, I think that brushing over that is probably not helpful. You got to lean into your bad facts if you're going to go forward with the case, because they don't go away just because you're not going to acknowledge them. So you better figure out a way to handle them and just take them head on. It makes them much less powerful. Because, I can already imagine if I'm on cross-examination, I've written this down. Here's what he said he got disciplined for. I'm sure in this file that has all of this evidence that we presented to the post commission, it's got the IA report, it's got the findings, it's got all that. It's going to say exactly what he was found to have, violated policy-wise. And so, dishonesty is one of those findings. We're going to have to be talking about it now. And we're also going to talk about your, not mentioning that. You're distancing yourself from that. Did you forget about that? We understand you disagree with it. That's why we're here at this hearing. Just, yeah. Thinking this is probably going to end up being a problem.
Now, as far as violations, sir, what were the violations for? What did you do for those violations? What actually happened?
Again, it was, conduct on becoming is kind of a nebulous thing. They didn't like that I embarrassed the police department because it became very public. And the abuse of my authority was because I asked my detective to do the pull on my phone.
Okay, so you asked somebody in the department to do a pull on the phone for what reason?
Because I wanted to recover a complete record of my own phone.
And
So yeah, you did use police resources for your own personal business. It's not generally something that you're supposed to or allowed to do. He's saying this was voluntary, not an order. Wasn't an order. As if that, makes it a little bit less problematic. But this is not really that far apart from things like when police are using the databases they have access to, run background checks on people that they're not investigating, just, maybe someone they have a grievance with or something like that. It's a misuse of the tools and the resources that you're given access to as part of the trust that you have as a police officer. And so to be, misusing that, yeah, that is a problem. I don't know what the officer who ran the search of his phone, the extraction of his phone is going to have to say about whether this was an order or not. It's probably there in those reports. I'm sure that the officer was interviewed and that they relied on that. Guess we'll find out on cross.
you did that without seeking a correct authority within the department. Is that it?
I mean, that's what the report said. I did talk to my boss about it, but it's not in there. So
It's not in
You didn't
there.
file an actual police report that resulted in somebody searching.
no, not for that. I did file an actual police report for a bouquet of flowers with a nasty note that was sent to my home. And that's what started most of this. So,
Did you have a problem with your identity at that point?
regularly, not just me, my wife, my son. Unfortunately, every piece of social media we had was broken into. Every email account we had was broken into.
Not just him, but his entire family. So I'm just wanting to know, what emails was he sending from his frickin' son's account? Okay, this is really not particularly credible. Your entire family had every single account, not just social media, but also email broken into. You are either the unluckiest person that has ever lived, or you are the absolute worst at online security. And yet you're a police officer. You are absolutely immersed in OPSEC, operational security, and keeping yourself, your location, your doings, your connections, your personal life on the down low, because you are in a fairly dangerous position. You run into people who aren't really defined by their respect for rules and other people's rights and so forth. And you are in positions where you're in conflict with those people, and they would have motives to, pursue grievances against you. But, I got to tell you, most of them are also not super genius hacker types. Okay. I'm just not buying that some Stoughton jailbird with a grudge is breaking into every single one of your accounts and your family's accounts, and that you haven't, hired an online protection company to come in and fix this for you, because this was going on back in the 2015 investigation too. It was one of the excuses then. So it's been going on for 6 years, and you haven't figured out how to secure any of this stuff. I'm just not buying it. Just not buying this at all.
My poor wife has to use an alias as a police officer in the city of Quincy because her Quincy police work email was being broken into so often. My son's accounts were being cloned. My accounts were being cloned. My family was getting harassing messages. My brother got a message that was allegedly from me telling my sister-in-law that he was cheating on him. I mean, it wouldn't stop. I got pictures of text messages that allegedly came from me, spoofed by my own phone number that someone else sent me, of messages that I allegedly sent, and on a regular basis for years. My wife would get screenshots of conversations that, someone would say, "Oh yeah, hey, Bob's talking to this one," and sometimes.
So for years, he was doing all these messages and gaslighting his wife with this excuse. And for some strange reason, his marriage was in trouble in 2021. Why could that be? Why could that be? I mean, this is just some wild stuff. The ability to just kind of assert something this incredible and expect people to just believe it. Where is your expert? Where is your forensic person? Where is your security manager? Where are all of these people that you would have employed to take care of this problem? It's just you telling me, and yeah, that just reads like absolute bullshit. I mean, you really expect us to just believe that because you're saying it? I ain't buying it. Hope you have better than that. People were probably sending your wife screenshots because you were being a nasty little horn dog all over town, apparently. And this was your excuse. It's spoofed, it's fake. Over and over and over again. She hears that. God, I hope that woman got free.
They would have a window where they could, make it plausible. And other times, my wife and I were in Florida, so I kept records of everything meticulously, probably up until 2016, 2017. But then it became clear. I filed complaints with Facebook. I filed complaints with Yahoo. I filed complaints with Comcast. I filed complaints with Twitter. I filed complaints everywhere. And then it just became clear it did no good. So, I would keep some stuff here and there, but over the years, I don't have the treasure trove of what I should.
So let me back up. What time frame are we talking?
Oh, this went on from 2015 until 2020, 2021.
So as soon as you started your breakup with your girlfriend, at that point,
yes.
were you able to trace or track who was doing this to you?
There were a couple of different people that the state police said. One was a friend of my ex. The others I wasn't quite sure of, and a lot they couldn't track down because it was, these accounts text now, things like that. They're easy to find.
So one was a friend of your wife's, and then there were others, and some you didn't even know. And so what happened to those people? Where are the criminal records of those people being charged for hacking your computer, falsely impersonating you, defrauding others, harassment? Where are the charges for those that they followed up on with your wife's friend? Where's that?
You can route everything through Canada and they can't track it down. So,
No, I don't know.
Changed my phone number 4 times. I had to change my emails 3 times. My son's changed his phone number 5 times. My wife changed hers 3 times. It just hadn't stopped.
Wow, look at that. Look at that facial expression. Man, just what a terrible burden he's gone through. I mean, to change all these things all these times, and it just hasn't stopped. Wow. Never heard anyone so victimized like this. It's just terrible. I'm not buying this for a second. Problems with Facebook, Yahoo, Comcast, Twitter, everywhere. Everywhere he's having all these problems and just can't fix them. I know, sweetie. I know. It's just not even remotely believable.
Now, what did the department do? What did the state police do for you? So one of the violations, correct me if I'm wrong.
Can the witness finish the question
Sorry.
or his answer?
I got it. Yeah, let's just wait till your lawyer's done. Yes, sir.
So that would be a violation.
Yes,
And as a police officer, you should have done what?
I should have reported.
You didn't report it.
No,
You didn't want
Didn't
to.
report.
I didn't want to get in trouble. No,
So
I just wanted to stop.
that was part of the internal investigation report from 2015, correct?
That's correct.
Now I want to back up. I started doing your background and I don't think I finished. Do you have any letters of recommendation? Letters of commendation?
I have 4 from the Coast Guard. I have multiple from the police department.
You ever appointed supervisor of the year?
Yeah, I was the supervisor of the year. I was also the police officer of the year as chosen by the PFW in my town.
FBI Deployment Association?
No, I was one of 11 instructors nationwide for the FBI Law Enforcement Executive Development Association.
What does that mean?
I basically teach chiefs how to be chiefs.
What was your background in this?
Well, frankly, when I got on my police department, it was a mess. There was a lot of issues that had to be corrected. There was a lot of politics. And when I took over my position, I was determined to try to turn things around. And one of the things we did to do that was to get the police department fully certified. I managed to do that. And I managed to, at least in some measure, turn around the reputation of the department. You know, obviously I didn't help matters in 2015 myself. I mean, that's on me, but you know, the fact of the matter is that I did a pretty good job up to that point.
Okay. So I want to go back to the 2015 internal investigation.
Mhm.
You resolved that, right, sir?
I did.
And did you admit that you did anything in violation of the rules?
I agreed to the conduct unbecoming and the abuse of authority.
You either need to bring your mic closer to your. Sorry, I missed what you said.
I said I agreed to the conduct unbecoming and the use of, the abuse of authority.
If we could bring up the original documents on page 632. You could scroll it down, scroll through it. You recognize this document, sir? You can scroll up.
Going quick. Yes,
What is it?
it's the agreement I signed with the town to take my punishment.
And at the time, before you were disciplined, what was your rank?
I was the deputy chief of police. I was often the acting chief of police because my boss was always injured.
And you signed this and what was your punishment?
I got dropped down to the rank control officer and I served a 60-day suspension.
And after you had the 60-day suspension, were you trying to get back into the workforce, into the department?
I went back to work as a patrol officer.
Any issues about you going back to the department?
The minute I got back.
What happened?
The day I got back, my wife was pulled over by an officer of the department. She filed a written complaint about it, which nothing was done about.
She got pulled over the day he went back. She filed a written complaint. Nothing was done about it. Why was she pulled over, sir? Was she ticketed? Was she cited? Was she violating the rules of the road? And then trying to evade responsibility and shift blame? Is that what it was? Because, you know, just because you're married to a police officer doesn't mean that you don't also need to be pulled over if you break the rules. So, kind of think I need to hear a little bit more of that before I accept that this is an issue the minute you got back, and not just that y'all expected some special treatment from the department because of your status as police and family of police.
I got told that I was going to be a dispatcher, that I wasn't going to be allowed to drive police cruisers. And I sat on the desk for the better part of the next 3 years. The first day I was back on shift, I was put on the desk to train with an officer that I had hired who had less than a year of experience.
Who was the chief? Who gave you this?
That was Donna McNamara.
Donna McNamara.
Yeah.
She testified here the first day.
Yes, she did.
So, what is the dispatcher? Is that the lowest position in the department?
Pretty much.
So now I'm getting the sense this is the real issue, is the indignity. The indignity is the real problem, because there are a lot of reasons why you might need to be trained on dispatch if you're being assigned to dispatch and you've never done dispatch before, or maybe you haven't done it in a long time and there's a new system, there's new codes, there's new, you know, computer programs, there's new things that you have to navigate. You have to be trained in to be able to do the job. But that was intolerable to him. The shame of having to be trained by somebody that he hired to do a job he felt was below him. That's kind of what I think is going on here.
So you stayed there for how long?
3 years.
And what happened next?
You know, after not being disciplined for a thing in my law enforcement career for in excess of 20 years, all of a sudden I couldn't do anything right. How I answered the phone was wrong. How, you know, I handled calls was wrong. I took sick days in a calendar year, and I got spoken to about that, even though there were people in the department that had upwards of 20. I mean, just it didn't stop. It was a constant. You know, every little thing was getting nitpicked. In my opinion, they were trying to force me out the door because they didn't want me back in the first place.
And I'm sure it had nothing to do with, you know, maybe him being defiant. You know, all this is beneath him and there's ways to do it and he's going to do it his own way. Sure, it wouldn't have anything to do with something like that. They just nitpicked him over and over and over. And of course, there's a record of all that, right? There's a record of it.
What was your relationship with Brian Holmes?
We didn't have one at that point.
At some point, did you have one?
No, I mean, we came to a shaky alliance so we could coexist in the building.
Well, what got you there? At some point, you didn't have a shaky alliance.
No, I mean, we went to the police academy together. We were best friends.
Okay.
Best friends.
You know,
How long were you best friends? Tell us.
Your Honor, Attorney Stowe's not letting the witness finish his answers.
I agree. Let him finish. You wait for his question. You wait for his answer, and we'll be fine.
Okay. No, we were good friends. You know, our families traveled together. I was around his kids. He was around my kids. You know, we had a good relationship for a long time.
How many kids do you have?
Two.
What are their names?
Oh, for God's
Do they
sake.
live with you?
Cares.
Doesn't anymore, but he did for a long time.
In 2020, was he living with you?
Yes.
When did he move up?
Well, he stayed with us throughout the COVID event. And then after everything started opening up again, he bought a condo in Marshfield.
Do you know when he moved up?
Into 2021, 2022, somewhere around there.
After SB had passed?
Yes.
When did he live with you up until that?
Well, from the time my wife and I bought the house until then, so 2001 until
2021?
2021. Yeah.
What does his son living in the house have to do with anything? Is this just a emotional kind of ploy, or look what a good dad I am kind of thing, or does this actually have something to do with something? Not really getting that. Does the son not stand by him anymore? Is that what's going on? We didn't get to hear stuff. It was just this weird segue from Brian Holmes and how they were such BFFs after we were talking about how, then they weren't friends. There was no relationship, just this tentative alliance that allowed them to coexist. And now suddenly we're talking about his son moving out after Sandra died. Not following the relevance in any of this or why we're hearing about it. So I'm just kind of waiting, I guess, to see if that circle is going to be closed.
So who lived in the house in, say, March through August of 2020?
Me, my wife, my son, my daughter, and my 2 dogs.
The 2 dogs. What dogs do you have?
I have a King Shepherd and a German Shepherd who's a retired canine.
How long have you had those 2 German Shepherds?
The retired canine is.
What are we doing here?
6. We've had him about 6 years. And the King Shepherd.
Look at the hearing officer doesn't care at all.
So in 2020, would you
Getting his
have 2
gum.
dogs living at home with you?
Yes.
And are they noisy?
They're very noisy. The slightest thing sets them off. My neighbors walking down the street set them off. It is not a quiet house.
Just hypothetically, this retired canine, if a bunch of emergency vehicles were showing up outside of your house at 6 in the morning, and there's a hysterical lady that's running around screaming outside something about, did I hit him? John, am I to take it that your dog would be real noisy as you described it? Your dog would react to that, this retired canine? I'm just kind of curious, because I don't know what the hell else the dogs have to do with any of this. This really, without some kind of tie, this just looks like the most blatant pandering. And the way that the hearing officer, like, as soon as they went down this road, he's like, all right. And he turns to get into his pocket and get his gum or his lifesaver, whatever it is that he's putting in his mouth. Maybe it's Skittles. Like, Skittles are my hiking food, like the best. Skittles are the best hiking food. So you have your little pocket that's all stuffed full of your Skittles. And you can pop a couple, every couple miles or so. Maybe he's got Skittles in there, keep his energy up. I don't know. But, the body language really seemed to read like, whatever. And I'm not getting this. I'm not getting this one bit. Your dogs. How many dogs do you have? How long have you had those dogs? Are you a good dog owner? Do you love dogs? Blatant pandering is how it's reading.
Now, I want to get back to relationship with Brian Holmes. You said you were good friends at one point, traveled together.
Yeah.
And where had you gone together?
He had a house in Wareham, so we'd go down there on the weekends here and there. And other than that, it was just, going to sports games together, things like that, just stuff that guys do.
And at some point there was a break in the relationship. Is that
Yes,
right?
that's
What
correct.
happened?
I can't remember the exact year, but I was still the deputy chief of police. There was a friend of his who was a former police officer who had been sent to jail, and he got an appeal. I testified at his first trial, so I was called to testify at his second trial. We had a new attorney because his first attorney had passed away, and this attorney wanted me to testify to some things that I just wasn't comfortable testifying to. So they didn't call me to the stand. The next day, Brian burst into my office, red-faced, yelling that I left this guy out to dry, and how could I, and how could you leave him hanging? Almost exactly what he said here, last month. And from that moment on, we just weren't right.
What year was that?
I'm not sure. Like I said, I was still in charge, so it might have been 13, 14-ish, somewhere around there.
And what happened next with regard to your relationship?
I came back to work. He and I didn't speak. It was very cold shoulder. A lot of the supervisors shunned me in general. I was told by one that I intimidate them all, so they're not going to talk to me, which I didn't understand. They all outranked me at the time. And then my father passed away, and it was probably a year after his father had passed away. And he actually did approach me, and he handed me a St. Patrick's coin, and he said he was sorry, and could we try to exist in the building together? And I said, yeah, that's fine. I said, I think we need to go and talk some things out, but for now we can try and call it truce. That conversation never took place, and the conditions really didn't change all that much, but that was the incident that we could at least speak.
Was there an incident involving your daughter?
Shortly after I came back, the police department, most of us in my age group, we all had kids. And unfortunately, when you have two-income homes, sometimes the kids got dropped at the station until you left work. So my daughter got dropped one day. She was about 8.5. The school resource officer saw her and allowed her into her office, gave her crayons and a piece of paper, and she was in their drawer. Well, right next to the school resource officer's office is a bank of mailboxes, and one of them close by, unfortunately, said Holmes. So my daughter, wanting to protect her dad, yes,
That's the quotes.
I watch it all the time. Close by, unfortunately, said Holmes.
Okay, I accidentally skipped that, so I went back, but I wanted to pause it because daughter wanting to protect him, 8.5-year-old daughter wanting to protect him when the mailbox said Holmes. Why on earth does an 8-year-old child feel the need to protect daddy from Holmes? Why does the child even know anything about Holmes? When I was 8.5 years old, I can't imagine knowing anything at all about whether my parents had any beefs with current or former friends. I can't even imagine. 8.5 years old. What's that like third grade? Second, fourth, somewhere in there. I can't imagine knowing anything like that. Why on earth would your 8-year-old daughter be thinking, I need to protect daddy from Holmes? What have you been telling this child? That's the explanation? I mean, you maybe should have just left it at, maybe she just stuck it in there by accident. Maybe she just knew the name. Maybe you don't even know why she stuck it in there. Maybe it was a gift. Those all would be a lot more plausible to me and a lot less troubling than my daughter, my 8.5-year-old daughter, came to the police station and decided to fight battles for me with her crayons. Yikes. Yikes. This is not Father of the Year stuff.
So my daughter, wanting to protect her dad, I'm a Star Trek fan. I watch it all the time. And she heard a quote in there that she thought was cool. She wrote it on a piece of paper. She put it in his mailbox.
And that's the quotes, something to the effect that vengeance is best served whole.
Yes.
And what happened?
I got pulled off of shift by Lieutenant John Bonney and handed a letter that said that an internal affairs investigation had been opened up against me. He wouldn't tell me why. I didn't know why. And then finally, after pressuring him a little bit, I said, you can't send me home like this. He said, well, why don't you ask your daughter? I said, okay. So I went home and I asked my daughter. She told me what happened. But a full-blown internal affairs investigation resulted.
You went home and asked your daughter? You asked your daughter? The same guy that we hear that the supervisors are shunning him because they think he intimidates people. Sure, this is all just a remarkable coincidence of mismatches, and that he didn't actually like make his daughter say this. Oh, this is horrifying. This is actually horrifying. They're like, get your daughter to get her story straight. So we went home and straightened her out. Oh, brother. Wow.
I was interviewed, other witnesses were interviewed, and at the end of it, Lieutenant Bonney found that I had committed no wrongdoing, but then the chief issued a no trespass order against my 8-year-old daughter.
And who was pushing the investigation?
Brian?
Did you ever approach Brian about that?
No, he outranked me at the time, so, I didn't think anything good could come of it.
You were patrolman, right?
Yes,
See, when you were deputy chief, was he a deputy chief?
he was a sergeant.
So he took your job.
Yes, he did.
So you got demoted, he rose up into your job.
That's correct.
Took his job. Sure, that doesn't have anything to do with the hostility and the unpleasant environment and the way that he's being shunned. This guy who couldn't stand to be trained at dispatch by someone with less experience and rank than him, the humiliation of his former friend who judges him, who thinks he's a piece of shit, took his job. I'm sure that had nothing to do with the environment over there at the PD. God, I bet they were, I don't think he's wrong in the sense that I bet they were dying for a reason to get rid of this guy. He sounds absolutely poisonous. Just a stink that won't dissipate.
With regard to, you ever heard of the Oasis program?
Yes.
What is that?
It is the Organization Against Substances in Stoughton. It's a model anti-substance abuse program that I started with a handful of other stakeholders in the town. And it's been running now for 23 years. Probably brought about $10 million into the town for drug prevention.
And that's something you started?
Yes.
Who cares?
What about the Explorers program? What is that?
Well, I was working midnight, so I got approached by the police chief to ask if I wanted to become a juvenile officer. I had only been there a couple of years, so I didn't put in for the job. He approached me, but I wanted off midnight. So I said, well, if it's going to get me off midnights, then sure.
What year was that?
2001, I think.
Okay. So it was good. So you were looking for something to get off of midnight?
Yeah, it was either 01 or 02. It was in that ballpark. But I just wanted off midnights. But he told me with that job came the Explorers program and the Open Gym program. And the Explorers, originally it was a scouting outfit, and I have no experience of that whatsoever. There were probably about 10 kids in it when I first took over, and I didn't really know what to do with it. So I asked them what they wanted to do, and I floated the idea of maybe, a junior police academy. They jumped on that, and I had some experience doing it in the service, and I created a 10-week program that was centered around discipline and learning the ins and outs of police work.
And Miss Hogan was here earlier and testified?
Yes,
Was she in that program?
she was.
And was SB in the program?
Yes,
A lot of people in the program.
yes. Over the years, I probably put 500 kids through, minimum.
And what was your tenure in the program? How long were you in it?
Well, I ran it as part of being a juvenile officer from the time I got appointed until the time I got promoted to sergeant in 2004. I handed it over to my replacement juvenile, who was John Bonnie, and it fell flat. Nothing was done with it. So I had a bunch of parents calling me, asking me, "You're going to do this spring, blah, blah, blah." So I talked to the chief about it. I said, "Listen, if there's time in it for me, I'll continue to try and get this thing off the ground if you want me to do it." And he said, "Yeah, sure, do it." So I did it for some overtime, some compensatory time. And I had it from 04 to 06 when I made lieutenant. We got a new juvenile officer, and I tried giving it to him. And the same thing happened. So I ended up having to step back in about 2007. And then I tried one more time to foist it off on an Officer Gagney because he said he was interested, but he didn't have the commitment for it. So unfortunately, I had to take it back over again. But my last class was in 2014.
What is open gym?
Open Gym was a program that was designed to keep kids busy during the hours of the end of school until 5 o'clock when they were the most likely to be the victims of perpetrators of crime. So we opened the middle school gym. We provided athletic equipment.
It was open gym for vulnerable kids. I think that's kind of important, most likely to be victims of crime. Vulnerable kids who were probably in the foster system, kids who maybe are in the juvenile system. Vulnerable kids is what the open gym program was about.
Basically let the kids play whatever they wanted to play. Football, basketball, street hockey. There were a million different things. To correct some of the things that were said earlier, there was, between 50 and 100 kids in that every day. There were a myriad of adults that came and went. And Sergeant Hardy and I were in there together every day.
And what were the years that you were, would you have been called a juvenile officer?
Yeah, just when I was a juvenile officer. As soon as I left the juvenile office, I left that behind.
And what were the years?
Probably 01, 02 to 04.
02 to 04 maybe?
Yeah, it wasn't that long. It was only a couple of years while I was in the juvenile office.
And did you have the opportunity back in 2002 to 2000?
She was, but yes,
Well, she's referencing the IA report, is that correct, sir?
that's correct.
And please tell the judge about your relationship with her.
I didn't have a relationship with her. She was obsessed. She would have people drive her by my house. She would look up my phone number. She would use the other kids' AOL accounts to try to talk to me under someone else's name.
And so when did you go to the parents? Early on? Early on, did you go to the parents about this? Did you go to CPS about this? This obsessed girl, the way that he said that with like this disgust. Oh, she was just obsessed. Like, this is not somebody who should be in a authority position around vulnerable kids, because you need to have a little bit of freaking empathy. Okay. You need to have a little bit of freaking empathy. Like, for some kid to be obsessed with somebody like him, this is probably a kid who is badly looking for security and guidance, safety. And to just, just the disgust. She was just obsessed. How despicable. This is this guy is not doing the job of painting himself as the upstanding leader that he is in his mind. He just seems gross. He really does. He just seems gross. Vulnerable kid. She was just obsessed. So when did you do something about it, Mr. Leader? When did you do something about that? When did you intervene to help this kid deal with this dysfunction? With the parents, with the school, with the social workers? When? Oh, didn't you? Did you not? Did you not? Because I'm sure if you did, we'll be hearing about it.
It was uncomfortable. There was a lot. It was just really uncomfortable with her.
Did you reach out? I'm sorry.
Please,
Yeah.
yeah.
Let me get in trouble.
So no, spoke to my wife about it, and so she, she was aware that I was uncomfortable with this kid, and we just had the basic, well, be careful, everything else. And, one of the big things when I worked in the school was I was never alone, ever. I was adamant about that. Is that because it's a school, there's young kids, you don't want to be accused of things like this.
Very, very self-serving, isn't it? Told his wife, wife, I know you get all these screenshots from people that are these fake texts from me being a dirtbag to all these different women, but don't believe it about this girl. That's all he did, go to his wife. And his only concern about these types of situations in the school is just don't get in trouble, don't get accused of something. How about step up? How about step up for these kids? Okay? Don't you think that maybe reporting this kind of thing and trying to intervene in this kind of thing is actually kind of protective? Makes a record of the fact that it's going on and doesn't look like, you're trying to conceal it. Mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. This is nothing but self-interest.
And whenever I had to have a conversation with a student, it was with an assistant principal, it was with Roger Hardy, or it was with someone else. In this case that they brought up, I had high school volunteers there. I didn't have another police officer yet. So I had a conversation with her with an open door, with a sign-in desk behind me, with hundreds of kids coming and going, taking equipment out. But I didn't want to embarrass her either. So I was trying to give her some privacy.
Well, what was the issue?
Her mother came in to talk to me. She said, listen, my daughter's not doing well. Her and her husband will get divorced. Could you speak to her?
So her mom came in to talk to you about the kid not doing well. Did it occur to you to mention to the mom? Yeah, she's had these weird obsessive behavioral issues. It seems like maybe she's looking for a paternal guidance, for some kind of, safety and security from a male figure. Can I help you get her into counseling? Anything like that? No, mom asked you to talk to her? Didn't get to hear some of that. But really not liking this explanation I'm hearing so far. Because none of this sounds like it is geared in any way towards concern for the best interests of this child. It's about himself and covering his own backside.
I said, well, I don't know what good that's going to do. She goes, well, you don't understand. You mean a lot to her. I said, well, why do I mean a lot to her? She said, you don't understand. You're on par with John Bon Jovi. That's the exact word she used. She goes, and I would ask you to speak to her for me. I said, fine. After that conversation, again, I was a little uncomfortable. So in the open gym, there's an office, because I didn't have an office at the time. I got an office the next year. The door opens into the gym. Okay. And there's a desk up against it with the sign-in sheets right there, the cage behind it. All right. Right. So I took her behind that desk as I was standing in an open doorway. And the first thing I said to her was, there's a pretty good age gap here, right? And she got all red-faced and she stared at her feet.
There's a pretty good age gap here, right? That's what he told her. There's a pretty good age gap here. That's the problem, is the age gap and not just the contextual inappropriateness of it, not the behavior that's manifesting as a result of this. You know, there's a pretty good age gap here, right? So if there wasn't, that would make this all okay. What even is this message? This person does not belong around children or teenagers. I'm baffled. I really am. How can you be saying this and thinking that this is making you look good? And we're back into one of these really long explanations. The story's been figured out ahead of time. So we're telling the story more than we're just kind of answering the question. You know, it's this very narrative response so we can get his story out. But you haven't even come up with a better story? Then you know there's quite an age gap here? Ugh.
She said, yeah, I know. I said, your mother came to me all upset. She asked me to talk to you about, you know, the path you're walking down. I said, I don't know why you have this infatuation, but, you know, you're going to grow up. You know, you're going to turn 18 one day. You're going to have boyfriends in high school. I'll be a distant memory. And she said, okay, all right. And please, you know, put some work into your schoolwork.
You said infatuation. What did you understand what her infatuation was?
Her mother told me that she was infatuated. What I said, I was on.
You just said she made you so uncomfortable because she was obsessed. You literally just said it was so uncomfortable that you spoke to your wife about it. But now you only learned because her mom told you? You just said it was so bad she made you uncomfortable.
On par with John Bon Jovi. That's all I remember. Her mother was that she was infatuated with me and that she thought a conversation from me would be helpful in turning her around.
Did you ever give her a hug?
No. It's the last thing.
What is your understanding about what her mother did with her as far as medical treatment?
I don't know. I really didn't want anything to do with her, if I'm being honest.
Really didn't want anything to do with her. That's how much this guy cares about those kids. We're going to use them for resume filler, right? We're going to brag about our kids' programs, our Oasis program that we started and got all this money to the city, and then the Explorers program that just nobody could take over besides him. But he didn't even want anything to do with this troubled kid. Didn't even want anything to do with her. Does he even know what his story is? Because, you know, I'm the great guy who just you know, is so good with the kids. Is not coming through from any of this. I didn't want anything to do with her. Imagine.
I asked the other officers I was working with if there were issues with her, if they could handle them. And after a while of being uncomfortable, I asked her to not come back to the open gym either. I didn't want to be around her.
With regard to the open gym, then, with regard to her, did you have any further contact with her after?
After that, no.
Now, you know, a gentleman, Miss, is that correct?
Yes,
And, did you,
I have.
and you recently have some surgery, sir?
He had a back surgery in the last few weeks.
He has trouble ambulating because of it?
Yes,
Now, he provided you an affidavit, is that correct?
that's correct.
Page 1268. What were the circumstances under which, you got the affidavit?
Objection, Your Honor.
Grounds.
As a potential witness, if he's going to testify, that's fine. Mr. Devine should not be testifying on his behalf. The affidavit speaks for itself.
I agree the affidavit seeks some slight information for what we have. It's part of his response to post that is currently in evidence. This, was a part of the response provided to post. Which,
Well, that's fine. You can tell how it was submitted or created, but in terms of the substance of it, we'll stick with the affidavit.
right,
Words of the affidavit. Right? So,
which is the foundational work in.
go ahead.
Sir,
Thank you for being so.
document,
So there's no expectation that he's gonna appear live.
no. So, Mr. Devine, I want to show you an affidavit of here. Is, how is it you came to get this document, sir?
Well, called me probably 10 years prior,
Prior to what?
prior to this post. It's probably somewhere in the vicinity of 2013, 2014. I was still on Facebook at the time. So was he. We were Facebook friends. I hadn't seen him since high school, so it's not like we were hanging out. We were best buddies. You know, I would talk to him here and there on Facebook. He called me and he said, hey, you know, can I have your phone number? Something disturbed me. Can I talk to you about it? I said, sure. So I called him and he asked me if I knew. I said, I do. I wish I didn't. You know, I said, why? He said he was newly back in the dating game. He was trying some dating apps and he matched with this woman. And they went out and.
So is this the substance of the affidavit?
I don't know.
Well, it's what I was told.
Now, hold on. Talk to your lawyer.
Yeah, Judge, I think there is in the affidavit.
So that's where it comes from. I don't want the witness to be testifying about what somebody else said if in fact the affidavit is available.
Right. And this goes to use, this is conversation, this isn't necessarily the affidavit. But there is information in the affidavit that's overlapping.
Say that again.
This was this conversation with the hearsay conversation.
That's referenced that he discusses in the affidavit.
Yes.
So let's get it from the affidavit.
So you had a conversation with him and you've read the affidavit, is that correct?
Yes,
The information that he provided you was in the affidavit.
yes.
How is it you got the affidavit from him?
Once I found out through post that made allegations against me, I remembered the conversation that I had with him. So I called him and I asked him if he'd be willing to make a statement about it. And he said, absolutely. And he generated that.
Mm.
Did you write that or did he write that?
I gave him a framework and I told him to just write down what happened.
Did he type it out? Or did you type it out?
No, he typed it out, but I gave him like a template that I used. So.
And so why isn't this witness testifying? We have an affidavit, but the witness isn't gonna testify about it. We had Ms. Hogan submitted an affidavit, but also still came in and testified about it. Why is this guy not doing that? Why wouldn't you call him? It seems kind of important if this is going to undermine, you know, one of the claims of what contextually is sounding like misconduct towards the girl in the open gym program that he wishes he didn't know and didn't want anything to do with and told her to leave. after he did nothing whatsoever to, help out with this inappropriate crush. Why isn't he here? Gotta wonder.
So. Where's that at? That's the page,
1270.
1270.
1269. Oh, it's 3 pages. 12 starts at 1268 and goes to 1270.
Why don't you just keep this text a little larger so I can take a minute to read it?
So on that line of questions, sir, you talked about post the investigation, but I want to actually back up. How was it you learned to know SB?
She joined the Explorers program.
Do you know when she joined?
I don't know the year. She was around 13, I think.
And how was she as an explorer?
She was tough.
Tough?
The program is built on discipline, and she didn't take to that all that well. She didn't have the physical fitness to keep up with a lot of the other kids, but she did try hard. I had a lot of kids in the program that, for lack of a better way to put it, they gravitated to it because they had nowhere else to go. She was kind of one of them.
Now, you told us a little bit about the structure of the sports program. Who did you have as instructors and participants as far as teaching?
Half the department, and including my wife.
Did your wife work with you?
Yes.
In what capacity?
When I needed certain things taught, I would ask if she would come down and volunteer to do it, which she did. In exchange for a nice letter I had a boy sent to her chief. But I mean, Brian Holmes was an instructor. Donna McNamara was an instructor. The Firewall brothers were instructors. Lieutenant Hardy was an instructor. Billy Tracy was an instructor. Jay Owens, Dan McGowan. I mean, I could go down the list. It was pretty open to just about anyone who had some level of knowledge that I could take advantage of, and it spared me from having to teach every class.
You try to get others to impart their knowledge on youth.
Yes.
And how old are these?
Usually range between 13 and 18, 13 and 17, because usually the seniors will be. So.
And with regard to SB, what experiences do you have teaching her within the program?
She could be disruptive, and she could be an issue. And some of that was maturity, and some of that is just she liked attention. But that was about it.
Did you have any friendly relationship with her when she was in the Explorers program?
No, she was a student. That was it.
Do you know her age when she was in the program? Her age?
Like I said, I want to say it was 13 to 16, but I'm not entirely sure.
And you left the program in 2014, right?
That's correct.
And are you aware that she left the program in 2016?
I didn't, but
So after 2000, while she was in the program, was she ever to your house?
no, never.
When you left the program in 2014, did she ever come to your house to the present?
No.
Now, how did the students communicate or to try to get you messages within the Explorers program while you were there?
I had students, usually seniors. They were the only ones that had my work cell phone. I had 2 cell phones. I had one provided by the department, and I had my own. They had my work cell phone number, and they were the only ones allowed to contact me.
Weird how his work cell phone was like never hacked, or was it? Did his work cell phone have all of these mysterious problems with the things that, we're making him have to contact Yahoo and Comcast and Facebook and Twitter and everybody, but not the work phone? His wife's work email, apparently. Curious about that.
If anyone had any issues or anything like that, they had to go through them to me.
And was SB one of those
Never.
students? No. Did you ever provide her with any social media contacts?
No, I mean, we had a Stoughton Police Explorers Facebook page. And people would interact on that, but that, to the best of my recollection, that was all. So
What happened to that Facebook page?
I have no idea.
And did you have your own Facebook page back then?
I did.
What was your Facebook? What was your, I guess, contact name?
Bob Devine.
And did that change?
No,
Do you still have that?
no.
When did you get rid of anyone?
I deactivated it in 2014 because of all the issues that were going on with my family being harassed. I tried to reactivate it when I went back to work in 2016, hoping that things could move forward. And as soon as I did, it started being attacked again. My family started getting harassing messages again. So I deleted it permanently.
Did you ever open up another Facebook account?
No.
Did you ever open up a Facebook iMessage account?
You mean a messenger?
Messenger account?
I've never even had the messenger app, and I've provided that to post.
Provided what to post?
A full record of my entire Apple download history. From 2010 until now. I never had that app.
Never had Facebook Messenger app on his phone, but I'm pretty sure you can use Facebook Message from your laptop. You don't have to have the Messenger app on your phone to be able to use Facebook Messenger. Is this, he provided this to post, is this part of the, selective phone extraction that he had the subordinate in the office do? To misuse the police resources to get stuff out of his phone so that he could, rather Brian Higgins-like, pick and choose what he was going to turn over from his phone for their investigation? Is that what we're talking about here? It seems like that's what we're talking about.
You provide that to Mr. Holmes, Brian Holmes.
I did.
You did?
Yep.
When was that?
When I returned my package with the 17 answers to the questions. Everything I provided to post, I provided to him first.
Now, with regard to your wife was what's called a RAD instructor.
Yes.
What is that?
Rape aggression defense. It's a women's self-defense program.
And did SP partake or participate in their class?
She participated in a class in Quincy. Yes.
When was that?
I believe 2019.
2019?
I believe so.
And had you had any contact with SB between 2014 and 2019?
No. Well, I mean, other than no, because I was still inside. It was still on the desk. No.
So describe for us your understanding of the incident.
My wife was trying to teach her class like she normally does, and she teaches about one a week. And she's an animated instructor, but the class has to be structured, and was having a tough time sticking with that structure. So after the class was over, SB walked up to my wife and asked for her phone number and said, "Could you mentor me? Could I get a ride along from you? Could I, do all these different things?" My wife was kind of in a rush to pack up everything for her class. And she said, "Yeah, okay, sure." She gave her a phone.
Because she was in a rush, she said, "Yeah, okay, sure." Is this a boundary that's being crossed that's just because she was in a rush? Just because I don't give my phone number to somebody just because I'm in a rush. If anything, I'm maybe less likely to give my phone number to somebody if I'm in a rush. You're in a rush, so you're just like, okay. How old Sandra in 2019? Not sure. She's in a rush. just these explanations, these storylines that just really don't make a lot of sense.
She came home, she talked to me, she asked me if I had heard this name before, and I said, yeah. I said, why? She was in my class. I said, okay. She goes, well, she was looking for me to mentor. I said, absolutely not. I said, don't do that. And she asked me why. And I said, because every time a police officer gives her contact information, it never stops. That she ends up having to be blocked.
And so how do you know about this? How do you know about police officers giving her contact information and she has to be blocked? How do you know about this behavior? And once again, what did you do to intervene on behalf of a vulnerable child to get her connected to, you know, therapy, resources, etc.? What did you do to address the needs of this child that are being manifested in this inappropriate behavior? Nothing. You apparently just, you know, kind of criminalized her, you know, just block her. Why? Well, that's in your own self-interest. Absolutely not. Don't mentor. Don't mentor this girl who's having these behavioral issues, who's looking up to police. Don't mentor her. The lack of coherence here, it's just it's just confounding. He clearly doesn't give a shit about the kids. Clearly doesn't belong anywhere near these vulnerable kids. Keeps showing us that over and over and over again. Does he not realize that that's what he's doing? Does he think that he sounds authoritative and stern father, whatever, disciplinarian? He doesn't. He doesn't at all. He sounds like somebody who belongs nowhere near kids. Wouldn't know mentorship if it bit him in the ass. And yet you went to this trouble to bring in this girl to talk about what a great mentor you are? Oh.
She got blocked by several of the female officers on my department, several other people that I know. Officer Shannon Isabel, Officer Heather Cheever, Brian Kavanaugh. I mean, just to name a few. Sandra, I believe Sandra Barrett. So my wife went back to teach the second night of her class. Showed up. SB showed up, and she confronted my wife angrily that my wife hadn't answered her text messages, that she hadn't scheduled a ride along for her yet. And my wife's not the type to put up with that. So she basically told her to shut her mouth, and it's not happening now. So the class started. She continued to be disruptive, and a Quincy police lieutenant had to ask her to leave.
And that was in 2019.
Yes.
And what happened with regard to the kind of SB?
So far as I know, that was it. My wife had a traffic issue coming home from that class where she said a car she thought tried to run her off the road. She can't say for sure that it was SB, but she can't say it wasn't either. So.
Oh, you got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. Someone tried to run her off the road. Where's the police report? Where's the police report for the felony assault with a dangerous weapon? Freaking vehicle tried to run you off the road. Not sure, but it might have been SB, but you can't say. Where's the fucking police report? Put up or shut up. That is some absolute audacious bullshit right there. The wife isn't testifying either. I gotta wonder how bad she is. Is she just as bad as this guy? Or is this his depiction of her, you know, his presentation of her, his projection onto her being what he thinks she should be? I don't know. But she sure doesn't sound any better than him from the way that he's describing all this. Tried to run her off the road, my ass. Fucking police reporter, shut up.
Now, you said at some point you got off the desk, and that was a dispatcher's desk?
Yes.
Okay, when was that?
I believe it was toward the end of 2019. I was still in school. So,
What do you mean by you're still in school?
I was still in law school. So it was toward the end of 2019. I got told, you know, hey, you can go back on the road now. And I started working, taking calls for service again.
In 2019, did you have a conversation with Mr. Holmes about your cell phone being changed?
I did. I changed my cell phone number for the 4th time. And Mr. Holmes noticed that I had. So as I was walking by his office, what used to be mine, he said, hey, you know, can I talk to you for a minute? I said, yes. He said, I noticed you changed your phone number. I said, yes. He said, can I ask why? And I told him, I said, I'm still dealing with the same nonsense that I've been dealing with for the past 4 years. I said, my phone number is being hijacked. I said, my emails are being hijacked. I'm finding piggybacked accounts on my emails. I said, it won't stop, you know? And he said, well, do you want the department to get involved? And I told him, absolutely not.
Absolutely not. Does he want the department involved in this serial hacking intrusion problem that is it's affecting all of these different platforms and even mechanisms of communication? Okay, email is something very different from social media, which is very different than your phone number. These are all like very different types of intrusions, and yet somebody, you know, seems to persistently be causing this problem. You can't even change your phone number to get rid of it. It's that targeted. It's that hostile. As soon as you started your Facebook account back up again, it started up with the harassing messages to your family. Oh, you want some help? Maybe investigating who is responsible for that? Maybe then, you know, we can identify this person who sounds pretty obsessive and maybe a little dangerous, maybe a little fixated, maybe a little stalkerish. We can maybe identify that person, make sure they're not going to harm anybody, and then also maybe put a stop to this terrible problem you, not just you, but your whole family has been dealing with for years? And your answer is absolutely not? It doesn't make any sense because it's bullshit. Absolutely, if you were having a problem like this, you would probably be begging for law enforcement to help you sort it out with all of their tools, because they sure have a lot of investigative tools, don't they? They can get the search warrant to Comcast, to Yahoo, to Facebook, to Twitter. They can get the IPs associated with contacts, with logging into those accounts and doing action on those accounts and so forth. They can go to the ISP and identify who does that IP address belong to. So the only reason you'd say absolutely not is you don't want them freaking looking, because you know this is a bunch of shit. Absolutely not. Oh, let's hear him explain this.
I want the department to be anywhere near this, because the last time that happened, I got triple demoted and nothing happened.
Oh,
so he
because
said,
he's a
okay,
victim.
well, if that's changes, let me know.
Let me guess, because the department thought you're a lying sack of shit. You're making all this shit up. And nobody buys your little hacking story. That's why you got demoted and why nothing happened. Because nobody believed that shit. So absolutely not. Unbelievable. He thinks anyone's going to buy this. Wild.
And I said, all right. And that was the end of the discussion.
And now, what steps did you take to try to correct your messages?
And first, I tried everything. I reported it to the police department. I worked with the state police. We spoke with the victim witness advocate in Norfolk County. I reported complaints to Facebook and Twitter and Yahoo and Comcast and Google, and every complaint I could possibly make, I made. And it didn't stop a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we can look at the
So did you consider hiring somebody who might be able to help you with things like securing your passwords? Maybe looking at your, your computer system, your computer security. Do you have like good protection? Did you do any research into, good practices to not run the risk of like turning over your credentials? Did you consider, consider any type of like consult? No, what you did is you made a freaking record. You tried to make a record of having all these problems, but you didn't actually do anything to try to resolve them. I made complaints. Yeah, I'm sure you did. And they looked at it and they're like, well, it's all his devices, same devices getting into this account. So don't really know how I can help you there. Maybe try not texting the hose, We'll send the stuff to your wife. Maybe try that. He reported it to police because that was the only excuse that he could have come up with to get out of that situation back there in 2015. Had to pretend all these messages weren't coming from him. So yeah, he had to come up with something. So he came up with the hacking. He reported it. They didn't buy it. Nobody believed it. Maybe he, I got to be curious, like how much he even assisted with this investigation. Did you let him inspect your devices? And then once you made that report, now you're kind of stuck, aren't you? Now you're kind of stuck because if you admit it's all a bunch of bullshit, you made a false police report and that's a crime. That's a crime. Yeah. So instead you double down. You don't fix your bad behavior. You just double down for years and years and years and years. And here you are, still trying to feed people this bullshit story, expecting that just because you say it, they're going to believe it, when you haven't acted in a way that suggests that any of this is true. You haven't acted consistent with what you're telling us reality is. So no, nobody buys it. Nobody buys it.
The original documents, page 1279. Mr. Devine, I'll suggest to you that this is part of your submission to post, which begins at page 1246. So your response to post is at 1246. And this is one of the exhibits that's part of what you submitted to post. That's correct. And
So I lost my temper and I sent that back to them.
And did you have any Facebook accounts at that time?
No, but my family does.
Lost
And
your temper, you say?
did you submit that to Detective Holmes is probably internal investigation.
I did.
Okay. Did you go through the exhibits that were part of these IA report?
I did.
Is that email in there?
I didn't see it.
It's not part of it, is it?
I didn't see it.
So you submitted that to the town of Stoughton
Yes.
and it didn't make it to the report.
No.
Do you know what happened to it?
I have no idea.
What if any, so now at some point you get out of the office. You're not at the desk, what happens as far as SB?
Well, I went back on the road and I would usually work the same area of town. And there were a handful of places where I would put my police cruiser. There's a church, there's a golf course. But I mean, they're generally centrally located places, you know, where I could respond to calls. And without fail, if she saw me, she pulled in, she would ask if I wanted a coffee or anything else and want to try to strike a conversation.
And what did you do?
I spoke to her briefly, you know, usually because I didn't really want to get into it with her, but if I was parked, like in one case in the golf course, it's a deep parking lot. So if I was parked toward the back of the parking lot, I would stop her and I would bring it up to the street level so that I was at least visible.
Why did you do that?
Because I just didn't like being alone with people.
And did she, what if any sexual talk did she have?
She would.
Objection. Leading.
No, cat's out the bag. You can answer the question.
She would proposition me here and there, and I would tell her no.
Now, would she, what if any words would she use? Would she use any specific words with you?
A couple of times she asked me why I wouldn't just give in and railed her.
And you actually told that, you gave that as in your statement, is that correct?
Yes.
And, had you ever heard that term before?
Not before then.
You never heard that?
Is that a term you use?
No.
Military Coast Guard guy never heard about railing someone? On Facebook, on all these social media, never heard that? Works with all the kids, here's all their chit chat. Never heard that. Works with all the cops in the cop environment. Never heard that. Yeah, I'm gonna have to tell you, I'm not buying that at all. It's what a weird thing. What a weird thing to what a weird thing to disclaim. Like you knew it was sexual talk, right? You understood that. Did you have to ask her what it meant? I mean, the effort to depict himself as like this naive, innocent choir boy, didn't want to be anywhere near her, but she would find him and initiate this unwanted communication with him to the point of propositioning him. Never considered like getting a restraining order? You know, tell her. Ever consider maybe just telling her, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want you approaching me while on shift. Don't do it again. It's harassing. You need to stop. Ever consider like setting a simple boundary and enforcing it? The learned helplessness here. Right? He can't do anything about it. Has no agency in any of this. It's such a tell. It's such a tell for who this guy is. Because he doesn't want to have responsibility doing what he can't say he did, because if he had done those things, the events would have played out differently.
Do you know if that's a term that has popped up in her journal?
I don't remember.
And how often would you see her?
She usually pop up, once a week, once every other week.
And where would you put it?
The same places I usually put my police.
Did she ever show up with somebody?
Not that I remember.
Just for clarification, what period of time are we talking about now?
This would be beginning of 2020 until she passed.
How often would you see her?
Like I said, once a week, maybe once every other week.
And would you ever see her outside of work?
Never.
And the term rail, that's not something you made up, right?
No.
And were you privy to any journals that you may have had?
I did see the journals as part of the evidence. I'm sorry.
Objection.
I don't know.
Objection.
Objection, you're a lawyer.
I'm sorry, sir.
Objection sustained, that's deleting.
But she would use that term.
Objection. Oh, sorry. Withdrawn.
Sorry.
Your Honor, I'd like to draw the court's attention to page 915.
Let me guess, she said rail in her journal. What a remarkable
I'm
coincidence.
going to object to this if the witness is saying that he doesn't recall. This is a document that has to be created. I don't think you can refresh his recollection. Based on an exhibit that he reviewed to testify that somebody else drafted.
I
Right,
don't see that it matters.
if this is an evidence, it's an evidence.
It's an evidence.
Yeah, but what's the point?
Well, that's not a term that you made up, right?
No.
Yeah, he said that like
That-
3
that's
times now.
also- We have an objection, give me a chance to rule on it. And then we'll proceed from there. So I'm just all I'm doing is considering the fact this document is an evidence. And
Yeah, just like. It's just that such an unusual term.
right, you'll have time to argue.
Oh, man.
So
Yes, you'll have time to argue. That's what argument is for.
had SB ever been to your house?
No.
And you were invited to your house?
No.
Now, when you went for your statement, the internal investigations, who was present with you?
It's an attorney, Beth Bryant, and Lilith came back.
Did you know?
Not sure if we just missed something there. We had a cat intrusion on the keyboard.
What the investigation was about?
I have no idea.
Did nobody tell you?
I was told in generalities that it was regarding SB, and that's about all I was told.
And because she had recently passed, right?
Yes.
And were you privy to any information? Were you privy, for example, to Marty Riggs records?
No.
Were you privy to a journal or any other documents?
No.
And when you went in, did your attorney make a representation or make a statement on the record?
He did.
And what was that?
That the department wasn't following their own policies, procedures by not at least informing us about what the focus of the investigation was.
And what was your experience, if any, doing internal investigations?
I used to be the head of internal investigations.
And is there a policy relative to informing?
There is, I wrote it,
What is the policy?
that you have to at least give a skeletal structure of what is being investigated to the person before the interview.
And was that afforded to you, that opportunity afforded
No.
to you? So you went in blind?
Yes,
Did you try to cooperate?
I did.
You provided statements to them?
I did.
Statements are true to the best of your knowledge and ability?
They were.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that there was an incident that was alleged by, I believe it was Officer Tracy,
Yes.
and where there was and the IA report says there was a student in your office.
Yes,
Do you recall that incident, sir?
I do.
Please tell the judge what happened.
There was a 23-year-old spin instructor in her workout gear in my office who was going to help me work out the Explorers once they had all arrived. She is that description. She's a little older than 21. She did have short brown curly hair. Her name had nothing to do with it.
So she provided a witness statement, of course, right? An affidavit. You know her name. You know who she was. She was going to help teach. There's probably a record of her teaching. All of that's been provided, I'm sure. Right? Right.
It had nothing to do with what?
Nothing to do with
Was she an explorer?
at one point, but it was years prior.
She was 23.
Mhm.
And she gone to college?
I don't think she did because she was working as a spin instructor and a bartender. So I don't think she did go to college.
Did you have a conversation with, I believe it was Officer Tracy afterwards?
I did.
What was the conversation?
I told him, thanks, you almost cost me one of my best physical training instructors because she was offended that he was offended by what she was wearing.
Now, describe the office you were in.
It's right in the middle of the police department, visible to the dispatch area. I had a window in my door and I had two solid windows without shades next to it. You can see right in my office at all times.
Now, between 2016 and 2000,
Because I missed.
between 2000,
No, just a second. What was she in your office for? What was the purpose of that?
We did physical training for the Explorers classes.
So the Explorers.
Yeah, and
That's what.
yeah, and she was a heck of an athlete and a heck of a trainer. And frankly, as I got older, my knees didn't cooperate as well, so she would take a lot of it for me. So
how often did she come to help out?
during the 10-week class, she might come in, 3-4 times after her work at the gym.
Now, I want to talk about the interviews that we have.
So before you go forward, you're gonna be going for a while, I assume.
Just, yeah, a little bit.
I'm just thinking if this is a good breaking point, maybe we'll stop for the day and continue tomorrow. All right.
Where are we at?
All right, you may sit
We got
down.
a ways to go.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And we'll
keep plugging forward.
reconvene here at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. Other than Mr. Devine, are you anticipating any other witness?
No.
No other witness.
Right, see you tomorrow.
We're not going to ask, I think we'll begin this process. We're going to do a closing, or we can submit papers, a closing of papers.
Well, why don't you have to see let the,
I need to do that.
I know.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
So what's your preference?
I'd rather submit a written response. I think Your Honor actually indicated it might be easier for you to get a written response.
Yeah, and I don't, how about you feel about it?
I think given the sheer volume and I'm sure you've noticed even during our questioning, it's hard not to jump because the records are so out of order. I do think written is very preferable.
Yeah, no, as I listen to this, I come to appreciate the volume. I agree with both of you. So we'll plan on this. You don't have to worry about closing statements tomorrow. We're going to schedule tomorrow after we complete the evidence.
Okay.
All right.
So no closure.
Thank you.
Those will be in writing. We keep plugging forward.
Great. Good morning, everyone. I think we're good to get started. Today is Wednesday, July 16th, 2025. The time is 10:01 a.m. This proceeding is hereby called to order. This is the fourth day of the court proceedings before the Massachusetts Peace Officer Standards and Training Commission in the matter of Robert Devine. This hearing is closed to the public pursuant to an order issued by the hearing officer on May 30th, 2025. We are convening in person and only necessary commission staff are permitted to observe the hearing. This hearing is being audio and video recorded, so parties should speak directly into the microphone to ensure the audio and recording is clear. The commission is represented by Attorney Sean Martinez, and the respondent is represented by Attorney Robert Stowe. My name is Elizabeth Smith, and I'm the hearings administrator for the post-commission. The Honorable Kenneth J. Fishman will serve as the hearing officer over these proceedings. Before we begin, I'd like to remind the parties to use initials when referring to any alleged victims or minors, and to specify whether they are referring to exhibits in the binder sent on June 3rd or the additional materials that were sent to the parties yesterday. For exhibits in the binder sent last month, please use a page's specific dates number that can be found at the bottom of the page, starting with post Devine closed hearing. And this matter is now before Judge Fishman.
Good morning, counsel. Good morning. Mr. Devine, you can resume the stand, please. Mike, that you're still under oath? Yes, sir. So you completed your direct?
I have not. I will.
Nope, he's got a ways to go still.
Mr. Devine, we've been talking about schedules and how the schedules kept and where are they kept for the, so.
It's in a general CAD system that's accessible to the whole department.
And who has access to that?
Any supervisor, certain patrol officers.
And how would somebody find out, for example, if you were working on a particular day?
They could look it up in the system, but the system wasn't always correct.
Why is that? What would happen?
Sometimes dispatches forgot to put things in. Sometimes, I mean, I was out injured for 6 months and it showed me working for half
When was that?
around, I want to say I hurt my knee in late 2018, 2019.
To your knowledge, is that flaw in fixing the system?
No, not that I'm aware of.
And in that time you were deputy chief, right?
No, I
No,
was
you were
back patrolling. Yeah.
Now, if, is there any other way to find out that you're aware of if someone is working on a particular day?
I was looking at the call logs, no.
If I were a person out in the open and a general public, I could scan whatever you could find out.
Objection. Calls for speculation.
And that form's the same.
Are you familiar with any public access to schedules or knowledge of schedules that people regarding who would be working on a particular day for the school?
Objection. That's irrelevant to this proceeding. There's no allegations of public access to the timesheets.
Why is that, Bill?
Well, you're right. Our
Yeah, spell it out.
position is that we don't know where this information came from. And
What
if
information?
SB or someone else had access to a schedule, they could create this document that's Marty Riggs because they're able to get that information through public available means. Or in this instance, they could get it through police officers if they know police officers.
But it's still speculative, isn't it? You don't have any, there's no evidence that that in fact occurred.
No, but I'm simply asking public access to figuring out who's working on a particular day. It's my understanding that the government's not trying to introduce trying to do some evidence of schedules. So who has access to schedules? How would they find out how people work?
Well, let's make it simple. That's very simple. Are you aware of any policy or procedure that allows for public access to the schedules?
The way that people can tell if we're working is just listen to a
But
police
that's
game.
my question. I'm asking, are you aware of any policies or procedures which permit?
Well, yes. I mean, the general police law usually lists the shift on it, and that's open to the public.
And it's the general police log available to the public.
Yes,
How's that?
in every department.
Well, how's that? Just tell me.
It's a public record.
And
After that.
how does one get access to it?
You just come into the police station and ask for it.
Just come in and ask for it. No, they will make you submit your written public records request. There will be a record of it. Then they'll give it to you. Nobody just willy-nilly hands out the public records, the public record request. Not buying it.
So it's your testimony. If I were to just walk in the police station, they'd hand over the log to me.
Yes.
Doesn't seem like you bought that.
Was the schedule available to Matthew Farwell?
Yes.
The schedule available to William Farwell?
Objection. Leading and there's no time period.
Sustained.
In 2020, are you aware Matthew Farwell was working for the department?
Yes.
And during 2020, the entire year, would he have had access to that information?
Yes.
Objection.
So they're, you know, not getting to hear everything gets a little tricky to try to piece all the things together. But the basic gist here is that there's some document, maybe a communication, something that strongly implicates Mr. Devine here in the misconduct towards Sandra. And his excuse is that it was fabricated using publicly accessible information. Sure would love to know what this document that was created about Mr. Devine's schedule. Sure would like to know what that is. Because it would just, you know, help to evaluate if this is remotely credible or not.
Well, I do see the relevance. What's your, you have an objection beyond relevance?
Like a foundation. How would he have knowledge as to what Matthew Farwell knows or has access to?
Yes, asking whether he would have had access potentially. So I'll overrule. And I think you answered it anyway.
Yes, he had access to them.
And as far as William Farwell, would he have access for the entire year of 2020 if he was working for the department?
Also had access to them.
Was he working, were they both working for the department in years
Yes.
2020? How do you know that?
I was working there at the time and they were both there working.
And Joshua Heel, you know a man named Joshua Heel?
I do.
Was he working during the year 2020?
Yes.
Would he also have had access to the schedule to your knowledge?
Yes.
Now, I want to draw your attention to your submission. Look at it, page 1287. You filed a response to post when you received notice of this,
Yes, I did.
and you provided documents, did you not?
I did.
And within those documents, such as this page, there are handwritten notations. Is that fair to say?
That's correct.
And whose handwriting is it?
That's mine.
Now, the documents go from page 1330, start at 1332, and they go through 1398. And I just want to discuss the documents within there. I want to start first with back to 1330. Now, you submitted this. Is that correct?
I did.
What is it?
It's a screenshot of the Apple App Store under my account that shows that I had the Facebook app at one point, which is why you see the cloud there. It can be downloaded anytime, but I never had the Facebook Messenger app. That's why it says get.
So you never had the Facebook Messenger. And when did you print that?
A screenshot of the Apple App Store on this phone associated with this account. He's already told us he changed his account a whole bunch of times, trying to fix this problem. And so each time you have a new account and a new phone, it's not going to show your old history. You're starting over. So this doesn't prove you never had any of these things. It just proves that on this particular phone, whenever you got it, using this particular ID, this particular, you know, I account, you didn't have it then. That's all it shows.
That often.
When I did my reply, which would have been 2022 at some point.
Okay. And if we scroll down, we start seeing a list of what are these?
So that's my entire app history download since I had an Apple account from 2010 to I printed it out.
Can we scroll?
So you didn't change your accounts then if you're keeping the same Apple account. We just heard about all of these things that you had to do, and you had to change this and you had to change that, but you never actually changed your Apple account. Is now what I'm hearing? You just got new numbers associated with the same account? Okay. So that means you didn't download the app to your phone. Doesn't mean you didn't use Facebook messages through the Facebook website on your computer.
Just keep scrolling down. Now, stop him. In 2010, you had a Facebook account,
That's correct.
correct? Wasn't a Facebook Messenger account? Is there a difference?
There is a difference.
What is the difference to you know?
Facebook Messenger is a completely different application. It used to be incorporated into Facebook, but then at some point they separated it out, but I don't know.
Okay. And that's the account you eventually closed. We talked about yesterday. Is that
That's
correct?
correct.
If we could scroll down, please. And as we're scrolling, these are from 2010, correct?
That's correct. And the ones without the cloud next to them with the arrow are defunct. So even apps that don't exist anymore show up on the history.
And you. Take me on. 1330. Keep going. I think there's for brevity judge, there's I believe 60 pages of these. If we could just go down to the last page, which is 1398. And they're all in chronological order. Just trying to say it for some time. Okay. Scroll down to the end of the page, please. Okay, so this is where it ends, right?
That's correct.
So what you provided post was a complete history of your app downloads,
Yes.
and iMessenger isn't in it.
No, it is not.
And you gave
Sure.
your history through June 16 of 2022.
When I turned it over to the post, yes.
And where did you get this from? Where did you get this list?
My phone, I can open it up and show it to you right now.
Now, if we go to page 1287. What is this, sir?
That is a fake Twitter account that was designed to infer that it was me.
Oh, fake.
Objection to the answer. It's speculative.
It's the same as the second part.
How did you find out about this?
It friend requested me on my old Twitter handle. It has several friends on there that were friends of mine, including Lisa Klosnick and some of the other ones that are shown right there. And there were little nuggets dropped in there. The person was a police officer. The person was in the Coast Guard. The person was currently in law school. It was clearly meant to emulate me.
Objection.
Same.
So this wasn't your account,
No,
right? And when they took your interview,
And so, of course, you reported the impersonation to Facebook. You, took step. No, actually, wait, you absolutely did not want law enforcement to look into any of this. Like, for example, freaking get a search warrant, a subpoena, whatever, to Facebook for the IP associated with the account that's engaging in the impersonation and the targeted harassment. You didn't do any of that. Absolutely not.
In 2022, did you tell them you had problems all along with your accounts?
I did.
And that's in your interview, right?
It is.
It's, I believe, on the interview number 3 that we talked about yesterday.
That's how it's marked, yes.
So throughout this reply, you have handwritten notes on different pages. Is that correct?
Objection, Your Honor. There's been a few questions in a row that have been very leading. This is direct.
Yeah, but that's the kind of one that I'll allow because it saves some time. So overruled.
Now, throughout the entire pages 1330 through 1398, all of those references on there are yours, sir?
My handwriting.
Your handwriting. And why do you put your handwriting on?
Because I was trying to explain what each exhibit was.
I'm sure you were. I'm sure you were trying to explain everything. I can't tell you the number of times where I have provided, for example, discovery or in an appeal context, you know, clerk's papers, transcripts, or so forth, to somebody who maybe is pretty obviously guilty, and you get it back, scribbles all over it, writing all over it. This is wrong because, you know, all of these things. And, you know, it's just a sign for this kind of massive denial, because most of those types of objections are things that are kind of intended to be he said, she said types of things. Like, you can't disprove one way or the other. It's just like they see an opportunity. Oh, this person told police XYZ. They didn't say that. They said, you know, this other thing. And then, you know, sometimes you might even get a body cam or something that will tell you definitively one way or another what was said. But yeah, these notations all over, you know, the what other people said or reported, or you know, your documentation or whatever. This, to me, this is red flag stuff. To me, this is red flag stuff, because I can associate this with a certain personality and a certain pattern of behavior that is typically not really that beneficial. You know, to be demanding to be believed instead of having a perspective where you can appreciate that there is maybe some ambiguity, or maybe there is some difficult proof, and, you know, sort of evaluate maybe how can I substantiate this, you know, but just the insistence through the notation is like, it's not typically a good look. It really isn't. We don't get to see it, so don't know what it consists of, but you know, pages and pages and pages of a submission with your notes all over it. It's just this is not, I don't think this is gonna land the way that you think it's going to.
So rather than go through each exhibit, your explanation as to what it is in the documents itself.
Yes.
Go to page 1291. And what is this, sir? Why did they introduce this?
And that was a cloned Instagram account of my son.
1305.
And that cloned account was sending harassing messages out that didn't come from my son.
Mm-hmm. Did they come from you?
And what is this, sir?
My deactivated Facebook account was being reactivated with a password.
Okay, and you previously testified yesterday, if you should scroll down to the next page. In the next page. These are all different dates, sir, that January 3, January 4, January 12, going out. These are all different dates. What is this?
Again, at the time, you couldn't delete a Facebook page. You could only deactivate it. So I deactivated it, but someone who knew my email address kept going in and trying, well,
I'm not aware of any time where you couldn't delete a Facebook page but could only deactivate it. And certainly not in this time frame. I deleted my Facebook. I'm trying to remember when it was. It was somewhere in the ballpark of like, I don't know, 2018. I just got super sick of it. Facebook is like, I don't know. It's just its whole scene. It was not for me. Not, which is kind of like ironic, I guess, because I have a higher tolerance for Twitter, probably because Twitter is a bunch of randos, you know, engaging in toxicity. But Facebook is like the people that you know and have history with, and you know, seeing all that type of thing devolve. I just I didn't care for that at all. So yeah, you deactivate and it's deactivated for 30 days. And if you don't reactivate during that time, then it's deleted. That's pretty much how it's always worked, as far as I know.
they did reactivate it under a new password. And I kept on having to file a complaint.
And yesterday you testified, did you not, that you would go out and rid of Facebook?
Yes,
And why did you rid of Facebook?
because of things like this. As soon as they made it you able to be able to delete it, I deleted it.
How long did you struggle with this issue?
From 2015 until 2021.
And this was part of the issue you had in 2015, wherein you requested someone from your office to check your phone,
That's correct.
and which led to the 2015 incident.
Yes.
Investigations are.
Yes.
Now, I want to get to the Marty Riggs files. Page 354.
Yeah, let's get to Marty
Mr.
Riggs.
Devine, on the first page is this, it's 11, it's dated 11. First entry is dated 11/25/2020. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And it's from what it shows here, it's from SD, correct?
That's what it says.
And the next date is 11/27/2020,
Yes, sir.
again from SB.
Yes.
And then the next response appears to be from Marty Riggs on 11/27/2020.
Yes, sir.
11/27/2020, significant for you at all?
Yes.
What happened on, what were you doing on 11/27/2020?
Waiting for my grandmother to die.
Where were you?
Oh God.
Just bouncing back and forth the entire time between my house, my work, and her nursing home. There was COVID precautions in place, so we had to watch through a window while my dad dressed up in full plastic and was the one to sit with her. And
How parasitic and gross. Like, you can't send a freaking text message just because your grandma's dying. You already said at work, at your home, at the nursing home. Is it supposed to be impossible for you to get on your desktop where you have your Facebook? Or is this one of the burner phones? I don't even know the Marty Riggs. Honestly, I don't even know, what the communication medium was for Marty Riggs. But just like this idea that you couldn't have done all this because your grandma was dying. This is up there with couldn't have had her at my house ever because my kids were home. And it just makes you realize he was doing all this stuff while his kids were home and while his freaking grandma was dying. So gross. So gross.
died the next morning.
Objection, Your Honor. He's now speaking about, or he's now answering beyond the question. It's where was he, not where was his father?
Was this an observation you were making through the window?
Yes, sir.
Overruled.
And where was that?
She was in a nursing home in Norwood.
What do you know the name of the nursing home?
I don't recall it.
Objection, Your Honor. These are very leading questions. There will be an opportunity for closing arguments. I believe their position is that Mr. Devine is not privy to these communications, so this is improper direct.
This is documented evidence. Yes, right. So the parties can read it, publish it. So to that extent, I'll allow them to answer.
On the
Why don't
27th,
you let him do it rather than you do it?
on the 27th, sir, the exchange was on, you could scroll down. Keep scrolling down. Keep scrolling down. Good page. What is that on? What is that? What's your understanding of what that means?
Laughing out loud.
Objection.
About what LOL means?
But he's just interpreting messages which he's claiming to have no personal knowledge of.
I think it's a general concept.
Well, unless you're going to allow some, create some foundation for what LOL, how he would know what LOL means. Otherwise, he can just read what's on there.
Why does this matter? Ask him
Does
questions
this sound like the
about
type
the
of
messages.
conversation someone would have if they're waiting for their grandmother to die in a nursing home?
Objection.
On this particular day, November 27, 2020, do you know what times you spent at the nursing home with your dad?
I was there all day until I went to work. And then that night I went home and slept, and she died the next morning.
Died, November 28, 2020.
That's correct.
And then did you take some bereavement leave after that, sir?
I did.
No. I want to turn to page 412. Now this, would you agree, sir, that, certain days you know where you are, and certain days you know where you are in
Objection.
life?
You're talking about whether he personally?
Right, him personally, he knows where he is certain times. There's certain events in our lives that we remember where we are. Is that fair to say?
This is leading because he's suggesting the answer.
Why did you remember the day of November 27, 2020?
Because I remember when my grandmother died, and I remember what my family was going through at the time.
And why was that? Why did that date stand out?
Because that's when she passed. You know, it was, you know, we were waiting for a couple of days. We knew it was coming. She was begging my father to let her die. And, you know, that's what we were dealing with as a family at the time. So
This is just gruesome. This is just gruesome. Like, your job with these texts, you're saying these texts aren't you. Okay. They're not me. So any similarities between, any contextual clues between what Marty Riggs is saying and me, my life, my circumstances, my basis of knowledge, and so forth, this is all just coincidental. And so your job with these messages is to point out, how these messages could not be you. Are there points where it slipped and looks like something else? Are there points where maybe it had the inside information about you and you need to offer the explanation for how somebody else would have known that? And, who would have had the motive anyway? Like, your job here is going to be to sort out the ones that you think are going to best show you're not Marty Riggs. And if you're like smart and thinking ahead, you're going to be pointing at the ones that make it really look like you're Marty Riggs and trying to, show us how that inference doesn't follow. And the best you're coming up with here is using your dead grandma as a human shield. Dude. That is just gross. It's just gross. Sorry to tell ya, but sometimes people do really, really disgusting things in the middle of a family crisis. Mm. This is the best he's got. No, of course I didn't send those messages because my grandma was dying. As if this guy, this cop, has never seen anyone try to play a little emotional game like that, a little manipulation like that before. Oh, it couldn't have been me. I was just too sad because of my dying grandma. But he thinks we're dumb enough to buy it. Why don't you get to the stuff, like the bar? I understand from these messages that the day that you passed the bar or got sworn into the bar is kind of important because Marty Riggs knew that and talked about it. I've been able to figure out that much. So, who's your theory on who's doing this impersonation? And why didn't you want the police to go in and track that down? Go find the IP of whoever is pretending to be Marty Riggs. That's all it's going to take. Perfectly capable of doing that in the course of a investigation of a girl's death. Kind of got to assume that at some point, maybe somebody did in fact do that.
It's hard to forget that.
If you could scroll down to the next exchange. Now, on this exchange on January 6, 2021, SB writes what? Is there a term within the department, or what is your understanding of what an FTO is within the police department?
Field training officer.
What is a field training officer within the department?
Someone who trains new officers before they hit the road.
And are you a field? Have you ever been there?
Yes.
You testified as your background, is that correct?
Yes.
You're a deputy chief at some point?
Yes.
And the response given by Marty Riggs is what?
No.
So, but you were an FTO.
Yes.
And on the date of January 6, 2021, what was your status as an FTO, if anything?
I don't know if we had any active officers coming out, but I hadn't been told that I was removed from being one. So yes, I would have.
Wait, what? He just got put back on patrol after being demoted. Or he sat at the dispatch desk for 3 years. He finished as a patrol officer, but he's a FTO. I would think there's going to be a record of that, of his assignment, if he was in fact an FTO.
Now, you went through, did you not, just for transitory, you went through the Marty Riggs documents, right?
I did.
And when you went through them, what similarities, if any, did you find with your life?
The person claims to be a lawyer. I don't know what that means, whether the person is in law school or practicing or what it means. I don't know. They ask you, are you working? A lot of the days they're working, seemed to be days that I may or may not have been working. But that was about it. Also, I believe she asked once if the person worked at a PD, but it doesn't say where. So,
Now, did you find any entry that talked about the chateau?
yes,
Do you recall the date of that?
I think it was December 21st.
Here I am, go to page 382. I'm sorry, does he have the exhibits in front of him?
You have a binder?
Yeah, right.
I'd like you to read to yourself page 382 through page 386.
Thank you. Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Okay, sir.
There's an event described. Who's Marty Riggs?
I have no idea.
What pages are we on?
Right, I think 380.
Did I read the wrong one?
He said 382 to 386. I've not seen.
Chateau.
Oh,
Could it
crap,
not have been
sorry.
him because
I read the wrong one. My fault.
he doesn't eat French food?
Back here.
Never has.
No, that's what I have. Unless I'm looking at the page numbers wrong.
382 would start with.
The relevant page numbers are in the bottom in the center.
Oh, okay.
Oh, he
Sorry, there's a
doesn't
lot
know
of
how to
numbers
read
on here.
pages. Great lawyer there.
Okay. Sorry, I got the right
Not like
one.
page numbers are important for citing law or anything
What
like
is
that.
described in that exchange? We learned yesterday from Detective Holmes that SB Lilith can't, correct?
Correct.
Are you familiar with any? Is there a Chateau restaurant in the area? So
Yes, there is.
are there any other around?
There's one in Norwood. There's one in Braintree that I know of. I think there's one in Weymouth, but I'm not entirely sure.
Now, the one in Stoughton used to be called something else.
Yes.
What was that?
No Sarah's.
What was No Sarah's?
No Sarah's was the flagship restaurant of the chain. That's what everybody still calls it.
What do you?
Objection to the answer. Objection to the answer.
Here. So. Okay.
What do you call the Stoughton Chateau?
I've always called it No Sarah's. I've never called it the Chateau.
Oh God, that's why it couldn't be him. He's never called it that.
Are you the person in the exchange identified as Marty Riggs?
No.
Now, you got sworn in as an attorney, is that correct?
Yes.
When was that?
January 11th, 2020.
Happy day for you?
Yes.
What did you do that day?
He already told us.
Objection. This is asked and answered.
Thank you. It's literally what they opened
You
with.
were sworn in that day, right?
Yes.
Did you do other things that day?
Objection. Asked and answered yesterday.
We went through the day yesterday, something new.
Mr. Devine, why are we here for this hearing?
Oh God.
Because my name's been dragged through the mud for the last 3 years for something I didn't do. This is the main reason why I wanted this hearing, so that I could be heard. My family has had to deal with this. I've had to deal with this. I've had to remain silent for the last 3 years. And that's why I pushed for this. I don't need this piece of paper. It's not about a piece of paper for me. It's my name. This is about my name.
Do you plan on being a peace officer again?
No.
I have no more questions.
Well, I think that's probably going to be a good time to break here. No further questions. Took us a minute to get through direct there. Really not persuasive. This has really, really not been persuasive. We had the 2 reasons why he couldn't be Marty Riggs is because his grandmother was dying the day that one set of the messages were sent, and he's never called the restaurant the Chateau. Always called it some other name. Now, of course, that's not verifiable at all. You know, that's not, none of that's verifiable. Just because your grandma's dying doesn't mean you weren't being a dirtbag online. And, you know, is there some affidavit in here, some witness who can attest? Yeah, you never, ever called this thing. And like, would that even somehow preclude him from calling it the Chateau? Maybe to somebody who, you know, didn't use this old familiar name from back in the day. I mean, when did this restaurant change over? Oh, those are the reasons. No explanation, none, for your helplessness, your lack of agency in dealing with this hack. Just more victim playing. No, because last time I did, I got demoted. And nothing happened. Well, as I recall, you're supposed to be taking responsibility for your being demoted back in 2015, right? Didn't you get up there and say that you misbehaved and you own it and you shouldn't have done that? So that doesn't have anything to do with the police investigating your hacking. That's not why you got demoted, right? You got demoted because of your own bad behavior that you've now owned up for and shown this insight and remorse. So it really doesn't add up as an excuse, does it? No, because they didn't do anything before. Well, you know, it's been 5 years now. Technology advances, tools advance. You get, you know, new and different ways to investigate. You get new personnel involved. You might have different philosophies about how to pursue a case like this. But no, it's more convenient to just sit back and pretend that this is what's going on. It's just the audacity is wild. You know, it really does. It never ceases to amaze me the way that some people can just look you right in the eye and tell you the most unbelievable things and really and truly expect you to believe it just because they say so. And then are, you know, deeply offended when you don't. My name, it's about my name. Well, you shouldn't have besmirched your name then, should you, with your terrible behavior? Oh, I gotta wonder how big of an own goal this is going to end up being. Kind of looking forward to cross now. But I don't see a very good likelihood of this going well for him in the appeal process. I really don't. It just I don't know. Not the impression that I'm getting that he's come up with a real credible explanation for all of this sequence of events, or, you know, why the IA investigation, you know, got things so terribly wrong. You know, evidence that he presented that's like definitive that they didn't consider anything, nothing like that. There's nothing like that. And so, you know, if this goes the way that kind of looks like it's going, which is in the direction of the finding's going to be upheld, and he is going to be found to be, you know, grounds for decertification here for the repeated misconduct, which includes dishonesty, that's going to go to the bar Hello. It's going to go to the bar. It's going to go to character and fitness. I love that little aside he had. The guy claims he's a lawyer. I don't even know what that means. I don't know. Well, isn't that exactly what you did when you got up on the stand, to the point that I even like pointed it out? What kind of lawyer are you? Where do you work? What sorts of cases have you handled? Nothing. Just he's a lawyer and he's sworn in. Would love to know how he passed the character and fitness in the first place with that IA investigation from 2015 and the dishonesty in the course of that investigation. Well, you know, this was his shot. This was his shot to sell his case, and I didn't buy it. I didn't buy it. I hear a lot of blame shifting and victim playing and poor me and I'm helpless. I have no agency in any of this. I definitely heard that this guy does not belong around kids at all. This guy could like hardly be more inappropriate as somebody who's in a position of supervising, mentoring, leading a bunch of kids, particularly vulnerable kids, because he not only like has contempt for them and for their issues, but he also does nothing at all to try to give them any type of assistance, try to help improve their outcomes. No. Nope. I heard nothing that suggested to me that the post divisions theory of what happened here isn't exactly what happened. And I'm sorry, but no, I couldn't have done it because I don't call the restaurant that name. It's just ridiculous. It's you know, I remember I keep hearkening back to that interview, that very famous interview several years back in the UK. No, it couldn't have been me in the nightclub. I don't sweat. I cannot sweat ever since the wherever that was. It was God, now I'm spacing on the name. You know, down in Argentina, that big the Falklands War. I was so traumatized. I can't even sweat. Nobody buys it. Nobody buys that. So that's the best you got. It couldn't have been me because I don't call the restaurant that name. The restaurant that's named that, I call it something else. I don't think you've done a particularly good job of establishing your position here. So, well, this is I don't know, maybe going to be a spicy cross. We'll see. I haven't been super impressed with the division's attorney so far. I mean, he does all right, but he doesn't seem to really have the killer instinct. You know, we talked about it with the last witness, where there were some openings there. I would have been a much bigger asshole than this guy was. Would not have let things go nearly as easily as he did. And as it turned out, neither did the hearing officer. You know, because he went ahead and just jumped right back in there to really nail down that problem area of exactly how did you get involved and come to write an affidavit. So I wonder if we might see more of that. Might see more of that with the cross exam of Mr. Devine himself. Well, guys, guess we will find out next time. So we are getting close to the end of this. It's a big yikes. Big yikes. I'm not sure this is clearing your name the way that you hoped it would. So we'll see what the next one brings, guys. Thanks for joining me, and see you next time.